want to talk about Dongguo, or as we say it in English, China. What's going on with China, and why are we so scared, and what's happening with China? So I recently been studying more about China and learning more about why it has risen and how it became a global power and a global economic power, in other words. So let's start with a statistics. So China used more cement than the US in 100 years. So China used from, I think, 2013 to 2016 more cement than the US in the entire 20th century. Do you know how much that is? Do you know how many cement that is? That is impressive. But more than that, I think what we should focus more about and learn more is about their culture and how they operate. And I recently saw on Netflix a documentary called American Factory. So the documentary was basically about a Chinese company that was so a Chinese company started a factory in the US, in Ohio to be specific. And Ohio or Michigan, I don't remember well. I think Ohio. So what happened was that they faced a lot of cultural challenges, work issues, unions, and a bunch of different things that happened. And I think the discipline that the Chinese have is something that we need to understand, because their work ethic, it's a lot different. They are used to work more, and they work more. They're more disciplined. Their work ethic and discipline are way higher than most people in the US. That's one thing. And the other thing that is very interesting to understand the Chinese culture is their companies and how they do things. So I think a main difference in how companies are started and supported. So a main difference how in the US, it's from bottom to top. So if you're an entrepreneur, you have an idea, start a company, you struggle, you have faced difficulties, and you start a company, and maybe you have a chance to become huge, like Amazon, Facebook, or Apple. In China, it's a lot different. It's a lot faster, and because of one main difference, the government actually supports and give money and controls the company, what they do. So let's say one of the biggest companies in China that is known in the US is Alibaba. So Alibaba is basically kind of owned by the government because they get money and they are supported by the government, so they have a lot more resources to access to innovating, to catch up to the world. That's another thing that we need to really understand. I think the other that is important to number three, the other that is also important to know is the government. So in the US, we have a democratic system, and in the short term it's messy because laws gets we're very there's usually a two-party system. So two-party are usually different. They have different opinions, different laws, so they go back and forth on a lot of things. So in the long term, that is a really good strategy, because we have a system of check and balances. But in China, things get done very quickly because there's only one party, the Chinese Communist Party, which is the dominant. They do whatever they want. So when they do that, they decide on something and they do it quickly, because they don't have to go to the Congress, and they don't have to fight and wait and pass over all the bureaucracy and all that stuff. They do things quickly and to the point. However, because of how they do the things in the short term, has been working extraordinarily since the 1980s, since China started growing fast. However, I don't see that as I do believe in democratic values, and I do believe in freedom of speech, and I think the individual over, I believe, individuals rather than big bureaucracy and big government. And I think in the long term, China is not going to be, it's not going to hold its juggernaut or its value that people have been talking about. And I think that's something that we need to understand, because China might well it's very likely that their GDP is going to surpass the US. I think they're not very close, and people say that it's 2025 when that is going to happen. I don't know. But when they do, China will be the first time in lots of years that's a different country than the US becomes the number one economic power. A little scary, that's one of the reasons why I started learning Chinese, because you never know. There's a lot of people who don't know English, so if you know Chinese, it would be a lot better to do business and to understand people and manage everything. So it's scary, but I think we need to get ready. I think we need to learn from them and look at things and implement what works, and implement it with what works in the US to be better than anyone. And I think that what we should be striving for, instead of taking like the good and the bad and not necessarily taking what's good from them, because they've definitely been doing some things right, and I think that's something that we need to understand. So, 再见, or bye in English. 再见.